Aaron Rodgers seems to be the talk of the New York town, and nobody knows what's going on. We do know that the Jets are the lead team. Then Craig Carton comes out the other day saying that San Francisco 49ers could be lurking in the bushes and snagging him up. I don't believe the story. What are your thoughts? What's going on with the Jets and the Green Bay Packers? Is this trade ever going to happen?
Well, you'd think the Green Bay Packers must have put Craig up to that. I mean, they surely love the concept of this competition for Aaron Rodgers, but no one, that came out of left field. There's deadlines make deals, and the question in this transaction is, what's the deadline? Is the deadline the draft, or is the deadline the start of training camp, or is the deadline the start of the season? Clearly, for the Jets, it's not the start of the season, but they could go past the draft. The Packers, if they want draft picks for this season, the 2023 draft, they need to get a deal done. And I think most people expect a deal to be done in the next couple of weeks or right up against the draft. But if it goes past there, it's a game of chicken between these two sides, because the Jets need him in camp probably by July, but the Packers don't owe him the $60 million he'll earn this year until September 1st. Jets can't wait that long.
So, yeah, you talk about that with the $60 million. Does that make it an incentive for the Packers to wait a little more? Do you think it makes an incentive for the Packers maybe to have these other teams come in? Because they said they weren't trading with the NFC, and there's really not a lot of AFC teams interested.
Right. I mean, again, the 49ers thing came out of left field, and it's hard to imagine that they've got Purdy, they've got Trey Lance. Why go with Rodgers at this point? But it's out there. It's potentially competition for the Jets. But if the Packers are going forward with Love, the getting draft picks in the 2023 draft will help them. So I think right now the Jets are in the driver's seat. But if the Packers go past the draft, I don't know who's in the driver's seat at that point.
Dan, what's going on with Lamar Jackson? I mean, there's stories coming out that the Baltimore Ravens are waiting for a team to make a move for him, give him an offer, and then they're going to match the offer. Then you're hearing that he doesn't want to play for Baltimore anymore. He's talking to multiple teams. Then you're hearing those multiple teams are not interested in him. What is going on with this Lamar Jackson thing? I feel so bad for this kid. This guy's been playing with no contract for the last 2 seasons, and I think he's been one of the elite quarterbacks in the league, top 6, top 7 quarterback in a league, and he's still not getting his money. All these other quarterbacks are getting it, but he is not. What are your thoughts to Lamar Jackson and this contract dispute?
Well, I would hate to tell him what to do, but I mean, I agree with those who say he should have an agent. He should have an agent. He doesn't have an agent. The agent would probably have guided him a different direction. He got hung up on the Deshaun Watson deal. Deshaun Watson, $230 million, fully guaranteed. It's largely seen as an outlier contract. It was an unprecedented situation. He was on the Texans. We know the off the field stuff. They were getting rid of him. He was a prime quarterback, unrestricted free agent. He could pit the different teams against themselves. And the Cleveland Browns obviously came up with the goods. Lamar Jackson's not in that situation. He's a restricted free agent. The Ravens can match whatever the franchise tag, the exclusive franchise tag, the non-exclusive franchise tag. This is part of the CBA. Jackson is not he's not a real free agent like Watson was. So when he wants Watson's deal, he needs to be in Watson's situation to even have a hope of getting that deal. And that doesn't seem to have gone through to him, that he can't have Watson's deal because he's not in Watson's situation.
So we talk about the franchise tag. So many players have been very disgruntled getting the franchise tag, especially with quarterbacks, kind of starting with Kirk Cousins in Washington in 2015, the whole Bruce Allen saga. He was not even there in free agency. He was on vacation. And so many quarterbacks since then, like Lamar Jackson, have been disgruntled. Do you think the franchise tag is something that the NFLPA will eventually go away with because a lot of these players don't like it?
Every time the CBA comes up, that question gets asked, and the owners don't want to get rid of it. The union would have to give up a lot to get rid of the franchise tag. It probably would mean a lesser cut of the revenue. It might mean it would mean the union would have to give something back. And since this only affects one player on each team, it's not that the union looks at it as they represent 2,000 players or whatever the number is. This affects 32 players. So it's not a hill they're going to die on, and the NFL relishes the franchise tag.